Hello, fellow detectives. Welcome to Unlocked, the official podcast for all things Nancy Drew by Her Interactive. I'm your host, Tammy Tuckey, and this week we welcome Her Interactive intern, Taylor Indy Bowen. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Hi.
It's great to finally have you on the show, as opposed to just emailing and messaging you all the time.
I know. I remember, because you didn't start these when I was still here last summer, so it was like a month or two after I left, and I saw this podcast was happening. I thought, who is this? Like, what is happening? So I was really excited to actually finally meet you and just learn all about the show when I got back.
And I had been watching some of the videos on the Her Interactive YouTube channel, so I'd seen you, and then I realized you weren't there for a while, and I didn't realize you were a summer intern, but it's great to have you back, and I know you're leaving again, which is why we're talking today, because we want to get those details. So we need to do some detective work here on Taylor, folks, so so it's great to finally have you on the show. So the first question, obviously you've probably told a lot of people, but for those who do not know you, how did you come to work for Her Interactive for over 2 summers as an intern?
Yeah, so I first heard about the intern program here watching Phoenix's videos, but I actually didn't watch them when they first came out. There's about a 2 or 3 year period growing up where I kind of grew away from the Nancy Drew games, and when I got back in high school and started to have to think about what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, like where I'm going to go to college and what to study, I went back to Her Interactive because I thought, I used to play these Nancy Drew games and they were pretty cool. I wonder what type of people they hire. And then I saw that they had this past intern vlog, and so I started watching that. And then I honestly remember being like in my room watching this and thinking, I'm going to intern for Her Interactive one day. Like I'm gonna do it. And then I applied my freshman year in college, didn't get it, but I took all their kind of tips on what I needed to expand upon my resume, what I needed to work on, did it again, applied the next year. So then to my sophomore year, and that was last year, I got it. I was so excited. I just remember being in my dorm room when I got the call, and I called my mom, and she could hear my roommates screaming in the background too. So she knew that I had gotten the internship without me even having to tell her. And then at the end of last summer, I just had such a great experience. And so some of the people here had mentioned like, oh, we'd love to have you back kind of thing. And then I just took the initiative. And so around January, like around the winter time, I just, was like, hey, here's my updated resume. Here's what I've been doing at school. I would love to come back if that is still something that's on the table. And I think I just kind of hit it at a right time in my life and a right time in what Her Interactive needed. But they're going to do the intern and get another intern next summer. So definitely apply, even if you don't think you're ready. Like I definitely was not ready to get this internship my freshman year, but I still applied, and you know what? They remembered me the next year that I did it. So it's always good just to get your name out there. Honestly, every day is different. This year is very different than last year. And a lot of what you'll be doing is tailored around your skills and what you may be really good at or what you want to learn how to do better. So last year I did a lot of graphics work, all the little like Happy Pie Day, things like that. I did a lot of videos because that was what I was really passionate about and what I was good at doing. And then this summer, I've still done a lot of graphics, a little bit less videos, but I've done a lot more internal businessy things because I actually took a business class this past year, which my majors are art plus design and digital media production. So I have never done anything businessy. That's probably not even a professional way to put it in my life. So this was a really great opportunity just to build a new skill set for me this summer. But you kind of wake up in the morning, you look at we have a little calendar that says what we're supposed to be doing every day. Marketing wise, like what graphics need to go out, what videos need to go out. You just kind of work at that, start on Monday, go through that. Also, there'll be some internal projects that may be higher priority. So may have to do some spreadsheets or something like that before you can get to the fun stuff.
And since you are kind of directly in contact with everybody who's working either on the next game or next surprise project, how is it like to actually have to keep those secrets to yourself and not even talk about them with anybody else?
Oh, that is definitely the hardest part of the job. Just because, you learn something, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, but it may not happen for another month. Or, oh, we're just thinking that this could be a general really cool idea, but maybe it doesn't work out the way we wanted it to. Or just when you first think of an idea, a lot of times there's going to be a second and third and fourth draft before the fans hear about it. And so that definitely, keeping all the secrets, it's hard just because I am a big Nancy Drew fan, but it's a business and I'm not about to jeopardize my job by sharing any information.
Well, what is one of the most favorite memories that stands out to you as being an intern there at Her Interactive?
That is hard just to put like 2 summers worth of things, but honestly, I think just the friendships that I've made here, with Tess and LJ, I didn't expect to have a built-in group of best friends in the office. I expected, these are going to be the people I work with. It'll be a lot of fun, but it's still a job. And so we just go on a lot of weird little mini adventures like, we see that this food truck is at this certain location today. We really liked that food truck. Let's get in the car and go drive. Or there's a place called the French Bakery that we go to a lot. So it's just those small little moments that you don't realize matter a lot until like this past year when I was back at school. I was like, man, I really wish I could go get a Jammy Dodger from the French Bakery, but I can't because that's in Washington with Tess and LJ, but I'm in Indiana. But it was really nice they mailed me some because I actually told them that. I was like, I really am craving these cookies.
I actually have a few surprise questions for you from your fellow Her Interactive friends. So the first one is, why do you like Olive Garden so much?
I actually I couldn't even tell you the last time I had Olive Garden realistically. I think that was just kind of an inside joke that got blown out of proportion. So now it's like, Indy must love Olive Garden so much. It was more of one of those things where there's a group of us talking after a meeting or something, and Jared, our marketing director, mentioned that somehow he mentioned that he had never been to Olive Garden, and he's a really big foodie. So if he likes or dislikes something, it means a lot. And I was like, what? You've never been to Olive Garden? How have you never been to Olive Garden? And it was also right around the time that we were trying to think of ways to get more likes on the Codes and Clues Facebook page because I had just taken that over last summer. And so I was like, well, what if we get this amount of likes, can we go to Olive Garden? Because I think you really need to try Olive Garden. And we got the amount of likes, and he offered to take me actually earlier this week for my goodbye dinner or my goodbye lunch. But, there's a lot of other really good local food places around here. So I chose to go to an Italian pizzeria instead. Because like I say, it's not that I love Olive Garden. It's more just like, I feel like that's a staple of being an American is trying Olive Garden.
With those breadsticks, good Lord. I'm surprised he hasn't gone for it.
I know. He was like, what do I get? And I was like, you don't even have to get anything. Just go for the salad and breadsticks.
Now, you're a big celebrity for the Twitch parties, but everybody loves them, and they're sketching, the fans are sketching photos and drawings of you. So what is your response to that?
I know. That is just so crazy to me to think that someone sat home and drew a picture of me for fun. I remember when I first started, LJ, we had this little board up of all the fan mail that we've gotten over the years. And, some people drew little jackalope, not little jackalope, personally, actually drew the animal jackalopes and things like that. And I just mentioned to her, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Do you get fan mail like this a lot? And she's like, we used to a lot, but it's kind of tapered down a little bit because of email. And so she said she gets a lot more emails. And to actually see that someone just, again, took their time out of the day to draw Tess and LJ and I, that just completely There's no words.
To play them as a group, that even makes the experience a lot more interesting. And you know, Nancy Drew gets to go to all these different locations, and I hear that you've been to some of these locations that have been visited in the game. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, just the local to Washington ones. I've been to Manresa Castle, which is what Treasure in the Royal Tower. That castle is based off of Wickford Castle. I've been to the San Juan Islands and actually have been in a boat that's gone by Deception Pass, which is where Deception Island is based off of. I forget the building, but there's actually a building in downtown Bellevue, like super close to our office, that is actually the outside of the building for the news or the television station, and Stay Tuned for Danger. But then, not local to Washington, you know, I actually studied abroad in Paris for a month in high school, and I went to the catacombs, which that was so cool. Yeah, I've been to the Grand Canyon, so I guess I could say I've done like cliff dwellings, kind of like the Shadow Ranch. But every time I go to these locations, I'm just in awe in how they captured the essence of the locations, and a lot of times the team, obviously, especially like the catacombs, they couldn't pay to fly someone out to Paris to go scout the location, but I just think they did an amazing job at really getting the culture and the feel of all the locations that they do.
And I know that the listeners are wondering where you're going to be going after your internship ends. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you are doing to move forward?
Yeah, so I still have 1 year left of school. Like I said before, I'm an art plus design and digital media production major. So it's a lot. Art plus design, I can do pretty much anything with that. Some years I focus on embroidery, some years animation or painting. Digital media production is film and editing, a little bit of web design. So I still need to finish that up. My two big projects I'll be working on. I actually have to do a senior art show with about 12 pieces for my art major to graduate, and I have to film either a 3-episode television show or a short movie to graduate with my digital media production major. So I'm going to be working pretty hard on those. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing after I graduate. I have a few things that I'm thinking about, considering, but nothing's really set in stone. And then I run a vlog on the side for fun. So pretty much between all that, that's going to keep me busy.
You know, as I always end almost all of my interviews, I have the 5 locked clues. So you're going to be able to unlock them for us. So the number one clue is, what is your first Nancy Drew game?
I honestly can't remember, but I was thinking about it, and I think it is the Haunted Carousel.
And our second clue, what is your favorite Nancy Drew game?
Secret of the Old Clock.
Our third clue, who are you going to call? Ned Nickerson, the Hardy Boys, or Bess and George?
The Hardy Boys, because they'll give me advice and it'll be funny at the same time.
Our fourth clue, what place from one of Nancy Drew's past cases would you like to visit and see for yourself?
Italy, Venice, Italy. I think that would be really cool with all the waterways.
And our final fifth clue, what character, besides Nancy and her friends, do you think you would get along with if you got to meet them in person?
I think Jingjing Ling. I think that's how you say her name. Mm-hmm. She's just fun and bubbly.
And now my final question, if you could describe your experience working for and with Her Interactive and being a part of the Nancy Drew universe using one word, what would that be?
Amazing.